Another live session. Nah. Another live today. Another live today by me. Today I want to talk about black mothers going to work. Today I worked so hard with my child. I worked so hard with my kid. And I had to pause and ask myself, what about the women who are at work and who don't have that time between the hours of 3 to 6 to work with their children? Black mothers going to work, you might as well take your children and hand them over and receive the $1 million money for them and just sign a certificate of sale. Because that's what you do. In actuality, you are selling your children. Black mothers going to work. The only way I see black mothers going to work like a feasible matter is if you have your own mother or a close relative in the house helping you to maintain with your child and so on. But black mothers going to work, you selling your children, and the fact that you don't want to admit you selling your children is even more of a joke, because someone might as well hand you a check and you might as well hand over your child and hand over that certificate of sale and sold, stamp it bold and clear, sold. That's what happens when you leave your homes. I know so many black women who leave their homes every single day and they go to work. They leave. And their children go to school. Their children go to a nanny. Their children go to a daycare. Their children go to so many places, but the places that their children go to is nowhere where it's a nurturing blood-to-blood family or relation factor. You are selling your children. The time that it takes to grow a child, you at work. The time that it takes for you to nurture the men children and the women children, you at work. Who's doing that for you? Strangers. And when your children grow up and you find that they carry traits and characteristics and behaviors and they have adopted mannerisms that you don't know, don't wonder why you don't know. You were not there. That's why. If you were there, they would have adopted your mannerisms, your characteristics, your traits, your habit, your way of life. So when they adopt another person's way of life, do not be surprised. You were not there. Black women kill me. You wake up every single day, you go to work, and you hand over your child, your most precious item. You hand it over to somebody else. And when they become like 17, 16, 18, they adopt the ways of lives of other people, and you wonder why. I worked so hard today with my child, with my son. I worked so hard today. I worked so hard today. And the work I did is work I'm supposed to do. I'm not asking for any awards. I never do ask for those. Okay, I do what I'm supposed to do. I do what needs to be done. But as I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, I know that time is crucial. The time between 3 and 6 p.m., if a mother is not there, I'm not even going to speak about fathers, because you can always dispute a human's father, but the motherhood is always guaranteed. That child came out of somebody's vagina. That child was ripped from somebody's belly. That child cannot materialize out of thin air. If anything, that child came out of my ribs. Huh? You see why the men got that bullshit that we came out of their ribs is because when we have children, they are right on our ribs. If you ever carry children, my God. Do you women know that when you're pregnant, your ribs enlarge? For women who carry big pregnancy, I'm usually huge when I'm pregnant. I'm usually like about 190 pounds. Yes. I'm usually about 190 pounds when I'm pregnant. So my ribs usually spread. They usually open wide. So when the men, they steal everything that's innate to us. I don't know why they do it. It must be an illness. It must be an illness. It must be mental. It must be in the blood. Because there is no reason why people should be stealing what's innate to someone else, what Mother Nature has given to someone else. But when we women, when we women, we are pregnant, and Wilda knows this, when we're pregnant, our ribs, depending on how big you are, our ribs will enlarge. The child will spread our ribs apart just to get space to grow. So that's why the men, they want to mimic us and say, you came from my rib. But that's why we can always tell any child that you came from my rib, because the child is growing under your rib. That's where it grows, right there, the belly, the ribs expand. You see me, after I have a child, I have these special women who heal me. These women, I call them femsage. So after I have my child, I consult with my women, and what they do is they close my ribs back up. This is very painful, but it's necessary, and it's natural modern medicine. This is just my special healing, my special connection. Hi, Brittany. Hey, girl. So women must make time to stay home with their children. That's what I'm talking about, Brittany. I know you're a new mom. I mean, not so new, but I know you just recently had a very lovely child. This may be helpful to you. Women, we must stay home with our child. If you don't have a mother to be there for you, to help you with that child, or somebody close to you, or somebody you can trust to be there in that home with that child, mothers have to stay home. Because if you do not stay home to give that time, because that time, you see, that's the growing. Those are the growing times. If you do not spend the growing times with your child, by the time your child is grown, by the time your child becomes 11, 12, 13, 14, that is a grown child, my man. You do not have, if you're going to start raising your child at 11, 12, 13, 14, you are too late. In my culture, what we say is this. We say that if you let that tree grow, and then you're going to try to curb and straighten out the tree, it's going to be too hard. The box will be too mature. You will not be able to curb that tree. So when it's time to raise a child, it's between the time of birth and about 10, 11 years old. Personally, I start raising my children from the moment I push them out my belly. I swear. I swear, I have to. Personally, I have very high intolerance to smell another human's shit or to smell anyone else's shit. So my children are usually potty trained by the time they are 12 months. I raise my children. By the time my children are out of my belly, the first thing they do is they go on my breast. I hear mothers complain about children not sleeping. That is never my issue. My babies sleep the whole night, so do I. If they wake up, the breast is right there. I don't have to tell them where it is. It's right there. Just get on there. And they grab it, they suck what they need, and then they go back to sleep. I sleep. I've never had any problems as such, because I really try to keep it simple when it comes to raising children. When it comes to raising children, you have to be home. Like, I spent so much time working so hard on my child today, and just one child. And for the mothers who are not around, who are busy working, the paycheck you get, imagine you get $40,000 a year. Multiply that by 10 years. That's $400,000 a year. You're going to sell your child for $400,000? Thank you, Wilda. Merci, chérie. Thank you. Wilda? Imagine now you make $40,000 a year. If you take that for the 10 years that you need to spend with your child to make sure that your child is raising according to your way of life. Because if you don't raise your child will adopt someone else's way of life, or your child could be a combination of many lives. It will take bits and pieces from TV shows. Sometimes I meet children and they're just repeating things Dora says, or they're just repeating cartoons, and they have no personal rhetoric. They have no repertoire. They have none. A child is never too young to have repertoire, okay? That person is alive. Just because you call it a child doesn't make it less of a human. It's a human. So if you push out a human, there are responsibilities, because you can always doubt paternity, but maternity is guaranteed. These children come out of our ribs. That's where the men stole that concept from. They stole it from us and they put it in the Bible. These thieves, these bad thieves. But we know that's what they do. And we women, we cannot be diverted. We cannot be distracted because the men are changing. We cannot. We have to stay home and raise those children. Fuck feminism. You see me? If I had a big penis, I would fuck feminism. If I had a huge penis, I would fuck feminism. You know why? Because feminism has fucked us all. I don't know. Oh, I know who invented that. The white males who directed their white women to direct the black women and the black males to a deer. It's not a real movement. If you push out a child, you must be responsible because right now the distractions of the world are so numerous. And the proximity of what used to be a family unit is no longer. The family unit is under attack. And when you look at, and I'm specifically speaking to black women, I don't care how poor you are, my sisters. I do not give a damn how poor you are. You must stay home. Okay, you can do occasional jobs. You can have families substitute for you occasionally. But your presence has to be the majority present. It has to be the primary presence. No one else. Your child should be familiar with no one else's scent more than yours. You and that child must build a bond that is unbreakable. And it's because the bonds between the black women and her children are breakable that we see a lot of things happen that should not be happening. Understand? So I advise black women to stay home. I don't give a fuck what feminism told you to do. You need to stay home. You must stay home. You got to stay home. Okay, when you look at other cultures, black women, sometimes I look at black women, I'm not sure they are animals among us. They act like they're living in another planet. Because you see other cultures. You see the Latina woman? The Latina woman, she's home. Her man is going to work and her man is bringing some bread. Even if she don't got a man, she got her auntie tia, she got her nana, she got her abuela. Abuelita, whatever she call it, is right there. Okay? So she's there. Her son and her, they have a close relationship. I have heard a lot of people say little Latinas and their sons, the little sons are feminine. They're supposed to be at that age because their closest relationships are supposed to be with their mothers. Those are the natural flow of life. And we refuse to accept it. That mother should be his closest love. He should love her like he loves no one else. And for her, for the little girl, she should be playing with whatever her mother plays with. And we have to assume the mother is in merit to be a model for that child. Mes amis, problème, pap, je me finis avec les femmes noires. We got to stay home. If we do not stay home as black women, we are going to lose ni sac ni crab. You will lose the barrel, you will lose the crabs in the barrel. You will lose it all. This is real shit, okay? Today I spent so much time working with my son, and from today on, I work with my son every day from 2 to 6. Okay, I had to pull up by my son's school. When I pulled up, he wasn't even at the place he was supposed to meet me at. So I had to go in the main office, announce myself, and now go over there, call in. He don't even got his phone, dude. He knows I track him with the phone. Yo, it takes so much work to bring children to common sense, to bring children to logic. It takes a lot of work, and the time that you need to do those things, you cannot spend it at work. You cannot sell your children for $500,000 and walk around with the freaking car and the freaking home and the freaking whatever you acquired with that material wealth, thinking you okay. You're not okay. You're not fly. I don't respect you. You're causing chaos. Your children are causing chaos. You're causing chaos. I've had enough of all of you. Oh, the money you get is not enough for selling your children. You look at the Latina woman, she's right there with her child. She's right there. You look at the Indian woman, East Indian, she's right there with her child. Why must the black woman be the one to sell your child like cattle? You got to stay there. You got to be there. Me, I know that if I wasn't in my house, okay? I know one time I had some little fuck boy from the neighborhood come in my house pretending to be friends with my son, and then all of a sudden he turned porn, and that porn wasn't on for 10 seconds. I was on it. Okay, I was on it. And I was on him. That's the boy that I kicked his mama's ass. He was bringing shit to my house, bullying my kids. Yeah, that's the boy. They'll be say, casse diol maman Woody. Wow, they'll be jouer football à diol maman wow. Monsieur a venu entrer la caille moi pote porno la caille moi a venu bully petite même dire quand on jeune tout met ça yo. OK parce que maman pas régulier et puis maman sorti pour faire fréquent avec ma casse diol maman. L'on appelle petit monde faut préparer pour faire des pâtes sans café. Okay, when you're raising children, you have to be ready to do what you have to do for your children. And today, it's really important that I share this message, and I think I'm going to keep sharing this message and reiterate this message. You got to stay home with your children. If you don't stay home, they adopt the ways of lives of other people. They become strangers. You must stay home with these children. You got to. Otherwise, it's like selling them for the job. Basically, if you go to work and you make $100,000 a year, and you spend 10 years you working and your child is growing from baby to toddler to adolescence, and then 10 years later, $100,000 later, your child is a stranger you don't know, and you sold your child for $100,000. Is it enough? Is it worth it? Is it enough? Tonnerre! The children need guidance. The children need you to be there so they can mimic you. So they can adopt your way of life, not a stranger's, not cartoons. You. Stay home. Black mothers, I'm tired of you selling your children for naught. The money you begot is nothing. It means nothing. You get no riches. You get poorer because your children are not able to compliment you. When the black children get older, you know what they say? It's time for me to move out. Black children get older, 18, it's time for them to move out. You see how your children don't even understand the way to build wealth because you're not around to teach it. You're not modeling it. Okay? So that's my advice today. Stay home, black women. Stay home. Stay home to learn your children. Stay home to nurture your children. Stay home to give your children your ways of life. Haitian mothers, Mageta Pale Aveno, Mabvini.